which test is going to be the right test for you. I'm Piyush and I'm going to be your host in the session today. I'm joined by Shakib, who is going to be our co-host, and he's basically going to help us with some of the questions that we have. So I see about 11 people are already there in the session, so that's great to know. So before I proceed any further, let me ask all of you if all of you can hear me loud and clear. If you can hear me loud and clear, that will be really, really great to know. So do let me know in the poll if you can hear me loud and clear. Okay, I see that none of you are able to hear me. Okay, is it any better now? Shakib, you are already there, so I think you can give me a better idea. Is it any better now? Hello. Yeah. So let me just check the voice again. Just give me 1 second, guys. Hello. Okay, let me reset the poll. So do let me know now. Can you guys hear me better? Is it any better now? Are you able to hear me now? How good is the audio now, guys? Okay, I still see a bit of noise. So I would request all of you to request participate in this poll, and even in the chat you can let me know. Okay, volume is still low. Just give me 1 minute, guys. I need to probably just check my audio settings a bit. Just give me 1 minute, guys. Doesn't happen generally. So I'll be just back. I'll join this session again. Supriya says it's better. A few of you are saying it's better. Just give me 1 second, guys. I'm gonna just be back in the session quickly. Okay, uh, Jeff. I just want to check my mic once again. Just give me 1 minute, guys. Yes, guys. So I think my audio should be much better now. So let me reset this poll and ask it again. So one final time, guys. I'm sorry for this. Like I was not expecting this to happen. So let's see if my audio is better. Any better now? So if you guys can respond in the poll, that will be great, and then we can get started with the session. Okay, so I do see yeses coming in. That's really, really exciting. Good. Okay, so I think now the right mic has been picked up by this device. Great, great, guys. Thank you so much, Supriya, for letting me know that I'm loud and clear. Okay, so GRE versus GMAT. Now, let me ask this question to you again. I know I'm going to have in back-to-back two questions probably, but just let me ask this question. How many of you have actually thought of this question yourself, that whether I should go for GRE or GMAT? Like, how many of you have thought of this question? Like, which test is the right test for me? I'm giving you a poll. You can see a poll which says answer present test question yes or no. So let me know, like, how many of you have pondered over this question ever, even once, like that which test should I be taking? Right, and that's a very common question. Like, let me I'll show the results of this poll, and again, it was expected to be 100% because almost everyone thinks about this question. It's a very, very common question, and it's not a very easy call either. It's not like a toss of a coin that you just flip the coin and you kind of identify what is the right test for you. So basically, in this session, we are going to focus on understanding the various aspects of GMAT and GRE, all kind of questions that you might have around the two tests. And we'll actually take up the differences, the acceptance, and try to help you understand which test should you go for. And please keep the session very interactive. Please feel free to ask me any questions that you have at any point of time. Feel free to interrupt me and ask those questions. I'm more than happy when students ask questions, and that keeps the session more engaging always. So please feel free to interrupt me and ask me those questions. So let's get started without any further ado. So just about myself, I'm Piyush. I'm going to be your main host for the session today. I have like help people get across like in the target B schools for a long span of time. So that is something which I have helped people get achieve basically. That's a quick intro about myself. Just give me 1 second, guys. I think there is a bit of an issue with the slide. Just give me 1 second. Yeah, I think now this should be fine. All right, I'm gonna share the screen quickly again. Yeah, so all right, I'm not sure. Just give 1 second, guys. Yeah, now it is better. All right. Yes, so as I said, I am Piyush. I'm gonna be your main host in the session. I'm someone who has helped many students score very well on GMAT primarily and CAT. GRE is a test I have not personally taken yet, but I've actually researched a lot about the test, like taken mocks and understood the test in depth. And I've helped people get across, like get admitted into top B schools across the globe. So from my experience, I'm going to help you understand what the differences between the test and which test is right for you. And just to give you a disclaimer, guys, a lot of test prep companies take these sessions where there would be companies who are helping students prepare only for GMAT. So in a way, they're biased towards the test GMAT, and they kind of, as a conclusion, sometimes they make you go and attempt the GMAT. But this background is important for you because at Viz Tech Inc., we launched GMAT Viz as our first product, which was like 3 years back. But this year, we have also launched our product for GRE Viz, which is by the name of GRE Viz. And you can actually check it out by going to www.greviz.com. And I'm going to give you the link for that as well. Now, why is this information important to you? This information is important to you because since we help people prepare for both GRE and GMAT, we don't stand to benefit anymore by actually like pointing you towards one particular test over the other. So what you're going to get today is going to be a very unbiased viewpoint on the two tests. Okay, so what is the agenda for the session? So first of all, we'll talk about the obvious facts. Now, why, if the facts are also obvious, why are they important to be talked about? They're important because sometimes some people may be having a different understanding of the test, or they might be at a different stage of their preparation. So they may not be knowing a few things. So I'll definitely talk about the obvious facts very quickly first. Then we'll talk about one common question which a lot of people have. Now, here I'm assuming that most of you who are joining this session are actually looking at management programs. Now, why am I assuming this? Is that assumption right? More or less, yes, because generally GMAT is accepted for management programs only. So if you're actually pondering over the thought between GRE versus GMAT, most likely you're looking at a management program. So we'll talk about GRE's acceptance for management program, which is a topic for debate. Many people don't even understand what is the acceptance level and all of that. And then we'll talk about the structural differences between the two tests. But then we'll move to the advantage of each over the other. We'll talk about the advantage of GRE over GMAT and GMAT over GRE. And finally, we'll conclude all the things to the final conclusion. Okay, and then in the final conclusion, I will open it up for open-ended Q&A also. But as I am covering individual areas, please feel free to interrupt at any point of time and ask any questions that you have in your mind. So what are GRE and GMAT meant for? So GMAT is primarily a test meant for like management courses. It's a management test in simple terms. So if you're looking at a course like full-time MBA, executive MBA, Masters in Management, Masters in Finance, Masters in Marketing, or any other management degree, be it PhD or something also in management, most of the B schools will require you for GMAT, and GMAT was primarily meant for that. So if you look at the test structure, the test really is a very logical test. It tests your logical skills more important than anything. It tests your decision-making skills also in a way. It tests your analytical skills also in a way. So the test itself is a complex test meant for filtering out people who have better management mindset. So that's why GMAT was particularly designed. So it's a very focused test in that regard. It tests you on various aspects. So that's a very common thing which many people know. Now, what is GRE meant for? So GRE is like for a broader application. So if you are applying for a master's degree across science, management, or commerce in any of these fields, GRE is generally the test that they look at, the test score that they look at. Now, GRE tests you on your basic quant skills. Obviously, a part of it is a lot more logical also. That is, you're supposed to be logical when you're doing quant. And a part of it tests you on your language skills as well. So I would say GRE verbal is more language focused than GMAT verbal is in a sense. Because again, GRE is a test which has a broader application. It is not meant for management testing skills only. So it does not go in depth for the analytical reasoning skills. Again, it does test you a bit on analytical reasoning, but not a lot. So that's a degree of difference that lies between the two tests. So this is just an obvious fact which is there. But now, many people think that, okay, if I'm going for a management course like an MBA, I should definitely go for the GMAT. I should not even look at GRE. Many people think that, okay, GRE might not be accepted by the schools. But over the years, things have changed. Things have changed significantly. Just to give you an idea about some of the top B schools, Harvard and Stanford both come in the top 7 B schools in the world. And if you look at Harvard, last year, 29% of the students in the Harvard's last year batch who were accepted based on their GRE score. And this number, just to give you an idea, guys, this number just 3 years back was just 11%. So in last 3 years, from 11%, Harvard has actually moved to filling about 29% of their students coming from GRE as background. Stanford, on the other hand, filled about 25% of the batch with students who had GRE scores instead of GMAT scores. Now, again, very, very big numbers if you really ask me. Now, let me ask you, how many of you were actually aware of this? Let me ask you this, guys. So how many of you were aware of this data points, or basically that around 25% of like Stanford students are like accepted through GMAT, and 29% of the students of last batch of Harvard were accepted through GRE, sorry, not GMAT. How many of you are aware of this? Let's have a quick yes, no in this poll. I see no one is participating in the chat. I'm not sure why. If you're feeling shy, don't feel so. And have any questions or any comments, please feel free to share with us. If you know any other data points for other schools, also feel free to share with the audience. That way all of us will get to learn. All right. So I see about a good number of votes already. So I see about 87% of you say that no, I was not aware. This is indeed something which most people don't know. So over the years, GRE is getting a lot of acceptance in these schools. And this is just about the top 7 I was talking about. But if I look at top 15 schools where more than 1/3 of the batch has GRE score as an admission criteria, you see Tuck, Duke, Michigan Ross, Berkeley Haas, Yale, all these 5 schools, they're in T15 basically, and all these schools have 1/3 of their batch, more than 1/3 of their batch, incoming batch of last year, having GRE scores with them. So you can see the acceptance of the GRE score increasing significantly. Now, that brings us to the difference in the structure of the test. Now, some of you might be aware of it, some of you might not be. So I've made it very easy for you. So if you look at these 2 tests, when it comes to the verbal section, GMAT will generally have one section in which there are 36 questions. You have to do it in 65 minutes. But in GRE, you have 2 sections of verbal minimum, as in like there's one unscored section. I'm going to come to that. But in terms of scored sections, there are 2 sections in verbal which are going to be scored, and like 2 different sections. Each section has 20 questions in 30 minutes that you are supposed to do. So overall, you get 40 questions in 60 minutes that you are supposed to do. So that's basically the division of sections basically in verbal for GRE. So obviously GRE is going to test you on more questions in less time. Now, why do I say less time? I'll come to that later. Same story for quant. Again, 2 sections basically of 20 questions each, 35 minutes each for those 20 questions. So total 40 questions are scored on 70 minutes you get. In quant, in GMAT, you have 31 questions and 62 minutes. So you just have one section. GRE tends to seem like a longer test because of that. It is a longer test as well. AWA also has 2 essays that you have to do in 60 minutes. In AWA of GMAT, you have 1 essay in 30 minutes. GMAT has an IR section, integrated reasoning section, where you have to do 12 questions in 30 minutes. GRE doesn't have it. But even though GRE doesn't have an IR section, because of all these things, GRE is about 30 minutes longer. So apart from the sections that you see on the screen for GRE, there is one more section which is unscored which could be a quant section, which could be a verbal section. There's no way to know whether it is like the section that you're doing is a scored or the unscored section. So you can't assume anything. But yeah, that's an unscored question that helps GRE understand the difficulty level of the questions, and they can validate using that. So GRE is about 30 minutes longer than the GMAT. And GMAT also till 3-4 years back used to be of the same length as GRE, but recently they have like 3 years back, they cut down the number of questions tested. So they are not, it's a relatively shorter test now, still 3 hours plus, but relatively shorter test. Now, what are the question types? And I don't see any questions till now, so please feel free to interrupt and ask any questions that you are there in your mind. So what are the question types that are tested in GRE and GMAT? So if you look at GRE, in GRE, quant does not have data sufficiency questions, whereas in GMAT quant, you will get 50% or more data sufficiency questions. Now, you might ask, okay, why is that I'm focusing on data sufficiency? Because those of you who are actually already preparing for GMAT or GRE, they would know that in quant generally, if you are aware of data sufficiency questions, you would also know that data sufficiency is a more challenging question type. And if you actually tend to do well on GMAT on the test, then around 50% or more questions are gonna be the quant questions. Okay, so Jeff is saying, I'm just figuring out which one to start studying. Starting with GMAT today. Okay, Jeff, I'm pretty sure that after this session you'll have a very good idea, at least. Even if you don't come to a decision, you might come to a decision by tomorrow, maybe, but you'll understand which test is the best for you. So because DS is more challenging, GMAT quant tends to be a little more challenging. GRE vocab, GRE verbal is vocab heavy. So there are a lot of questions from vocab, even in reading comprehensions. There are a decent amount of questions that you'll get from vocabulary. In fact, in the passages as well, you will see very heavy words being used. So unless you understand those words, sometimes it gets difficult for you to understand the meaning of what is written. On the other hand, in GMAT, the verbal is more logical. They don't focus a lot on vocab. In fact, if there's a complex word in the passage that is being used, and if you need to understand the word in order to solve the question, there will be enough context in the passage itself for you to get the meaning out of it. So GMAT verbal is not very vocab heavy. You can actually get like you don't need to memorize a lot of words to kind of do well on GMAT verbal. So it's more logical in that regard. Now, how about the adaptiveness? Now, this is a very, very interesting point, and these tests seem to be very different when it comes to adaptiveness. But yeah, just one more point which I'll add to with respect to the curriculum or the syllabus of the test. More or less in quant, the same number of topics which are tested in GMAT are tested on GRE. So all the topics tested are similar. The difficulty level of the questions are going to be easier in GRE, and I'm going to cover a bit on that again. In GRE, sentence correction, vocab, RC, and critical reasoning are tested. In GMAT, only sentence correction, critical reasoning, and RC are tested. As I said, vocab is not there as a specific topic, or you don't even require a heavy vocabulary to kind of do well on GMAT. A basic vocab is fine for you. CR in GRE is tested, but not tested to a great degree. I think there are a couple of questions or 3-4 questions maximum that you get. In GMAT, you get 8 scored questions of CR minimum. There could be as many as 12-13 questions as well. So that depends completely on your day. But CR is given a lot of weightage in GMAT, which is not the case with GRE. Similarly, sentence correction is given more weightage in GMAT compared to GRE. So that's like the structural differences between the two tests. Now, coming to the adaptiveness of the test. Now, how GRE works is that GRE is section level adaptive. What I mean by that is, and I'm going to explain this to you using examples as well. But at a high level, you can think of it this way, that how you perform in the first section of quant. I told you that there are 2 sections in quant and 2 sections in verbal. So how you perform in the first section of quant determines how what is the difficulty level of the second section that you're going to get. So within a section, if there are 20 questions, the difficulty level of all those 20 questions is same. What that means is that all the questions in that section are scored at the same level. So there's no additional weightage assigned to a particular type of question. They are exactly the same variety of questions. They're at the same level as well. On the other hand, basically, in GMAT, it is a question level adaptive test. What I mean by that is that how you perform on a certain question determines what is going to happen to you in the next set of questions. So if you don't do well in a few questions in the beginning, the next set of questions which you are going to get are going to be much more easier. So a question level difficult adaptive test tends to be a little more challenging than a section level adaptive test. And I'll explain that to you why. one of the reasons is also that in GRE, since it is section level adaptive, you can skip questions. So if you don't want to actually answer the question right away, you can see the question and you can move forward. You don't have to move, like attempt the question necessarily. However, on GMAT, questions can't be skipped because, as I said, it's a question level adaptive test. So unless you attempt the question and the algorithm understands whether you have gotten it right or wrong, it cannot give you the next question because it cannot ascertain what is the difficulty level of the next question that should be passed on to you. So in a way, GMAT, because it is question level adaptive, it has to basically be formatted in a way that it cannot skip any question. What this means is if you get a difficult question or a question from your, let's say, uncomfortable area, you would still need to attempt it in order to move forward, which is something which can be skipped on GRE. In GRE, one entire section is going to be unscored. So you don't know which one it's going to be. It could be a quant question section or it could be a verbal section which is unscored. You don't know which one is going to be, but there is an unscored section. You are not going to be scored on the performance on that section. So about whatever time you're going to spend on that section is going to be, in a way, 35 minutes, whatever you spend is going to be a waste of your time. But yeah, like that's the unscored section which is there. On the other hand, in GMAT also, there are some unscored questions, not an entire section, unscored questions. 6 questions in verbal are unscored and 3 in quant are unscored. You have no way of knowing which one is the unscored section. So you have to basically attempt everything by giving your best. But just to give you an idea, this is the difference in the adaptiveness of the test. Now let's explain this in much more depth. So how GMAT algorithm really works is basically that everyone mostly starts at a medium difficulty level. So let's take a student. So if you are starting the GMAT test, you will start at the medium difficulty level. The very first question will be at a medium difficulty level. Now, if you get that question correct, what that means is that the algorithm understands that you have the capability of getting a medium question right. So they will try to push you to medium hard question. So the next question that you're going to get is going to be a medium hard question. And if you get this question correct as well, the next question which you're going to get is going to be a harder question. So it's going to be at the hard level. Now, if you get this question correct too, the next question is going to be similar at a similar level because there's nothing which is higher than a hard question, obviously. Now, if you get this hard question wrong, the next question which is given to you is a medium hard question. So if you look at this chart, the student, this 5 questions that the student has attempted, he has scored 12 points. Now, how do I know that? So obviously in GMAT, each question is given a different weightage depending on the difficulty level. So a medium question has higher weightage, like 3 points, let's say, for example. Again, GMAT doesn't reveal this data. We are just giving an example over here. So medium question has 3 points, medium hard, if it has 4 points, and hard it carries 5 points, then the student has scored 12 points, and his accuracy is 3 out of 5, which is 60% basically. So that's the accuracy of the student. The student has gotten 12 points. Okay, now let's look at another candidate, for example. This guy basically starts with a medium question, but instead of getting it right initially, he gets the question wrong. Now what happens is, because of this, he gets an easy medium question as the next question. If he gets this question wrong as well, the next question which is served to him is a medium, easy question. If he gets this right, next question is easy medium. He gets this right, next question is a medium question. So if you look at this trend of this particular student, it's exactly the opposite of the first student. But the score, if you check for this student, can anyone calculate the score of this particular student, the second student, and tell me how many points has the second student scored? Can you guys tell me very quickly? How many points do you think the second student has scored? All right, I'm still waiting for the comments. Okay, I see. So Nana says 6 points. Partho, how do you think it is 15 points? Please do the calculation again. Just check the points for easy, easy, medium, and medium. Okay, so Nana Naveen says 6 points. People say 6. Great, great. So happy to see this from you guys. So yes, 6 points is the score of the second student, and his accuracy is also 60%. So what I want you to focus on is that 2 students have exactly same accuracy. Both have 60% accuracies, but their scores are so different. A person has a 6 points, another person has 12 points. See the difference in the test, right? That's what a question level adaptive test does to you. But since GRE is not a question level adaptive test, if you are actually getting 60% accuracy in a particular section, that basically means that the difficulty level of the next section is going to be the same for both these students. The difficulty level of the next section is going to be decided based on the difficulty level of the current section. Sorry, accuracy of the current section. And I'm going to show that to you. So in GMAT, the questions in the beginning matter definitely more. And what I've shown you over here is a simplified example. GMAT is not this harsh. Please don't worry about that. It does not honestly adapt after every question. Even if they say that it's question level adaptive, it is question level adaptive, but not after every question it adapts. It generally checks your accuracy in a set of 2-3 questions, a batch of 2-3 questions. So let's say in the first 3 questions, your accuracy is more than, let's say, what, 66%, they might increase the difficulty level. If it's around 50-66%, 50-66%, they will keep the difficulty level same. So it's not just about getting one question wrong, which will impact you that much. But if you get multiple questions wrong in the beginning itself, that will impact you a lot more in GMAT. How GRE algorithm works on the other hand. So let's say you're starting the quant section 1, let's say you score 15 plus questions you get correct. So out of 20 questions, you get 15 or more questions correct. What it means is your accuracy is 75% or more. Now, anyone with this accuracy, if 2 people have the same accuracy, 75%, both of them, the next quant section that they will get, they will get hard level questions in the next quant section. So in quant section 2, every question will be hard. They will carry equal weightage. You have the option of choosing and picking which questions are from your comfort area, and you can do them right. So obviously, when you're preparing for GRE, one option that you have is you can, again, I'm not saying it's recommended option, but one option that you have is you can actually skip some of the complex topics that you don't like doing. Again, I'm not saying it's a recommended option, but this is one option which you still have in the test, that you can skip some of the questions from uncomfortable areas. But that option is not there in the GMAT. So any person scoring 75% or more accuracy in the first section, then they will get the next section as hard section for quant. Similarly, if you have accuracy between 50 and 70%, which is like 10 to 14 correct questions you will get, the difficulty level of the next section will be medium. On the other hand, if you are getting less than 10 questions correct, which is less than 50% accuracy, the difficulty level of the next section of quant will drop to easy. So you can see the difference in the test, right? Basically, in GMAT, you are being judged on the performance of individual questions as well. But in GRE, you have a little more scope for, let's say, working on your weak areas and like hiding your weak areas, if you put it that way. So what are the GRE advantages over GMAT? A very good point to actually come to now. Since it's GMAT is question level adaptive, your scores won't get affected by first few questions. So basically, since GRE is section level adaptive, your scores in GRE are not going to be affected by the first few questions. So even if you get the first few questions wrong, it will not impact your scores that much. You're getting my point? So in GMAT, what happens is I've seen many students, I've seen in fact cases where students have actually gotten a few additional questions wrong, less questions wrong than another candidate, and they have still scored poorly than the other candidate. So what I'm trying to say over here is that in GMAT, I've seen people getting with better accuracy getting a lower score just because they did not start off the test well. So if you don't start the test well, you are doomed. GRE, that's not the case. You have the option of skipping the questions, even if it doesn't matter where the question is coming. What matters is in which section it is and how do you perform in that individual section. So you have more scope to come back from a bad start. Skipping questions is allowed. Now, how does it help? You can always come back to a question later. You can utilize your time better. For example, let's say there's a question from geometry. The reason I'm taking geometry as an example is because I'm poor at geometry. I'm not very great at it. I can only do easy and medium questions well. I can't do a hard question on geometry correctly. Even though I'm pretty good in quant, but still geometry is my Achilles heel. So if, let's say, on GMAT, you encounter a geometry question in the very beginning of the test, you have no choice but to rather attempt that question right away. Sometimes in your uncomfortable areas, if the question is coming from that, you might as well end up spending 4 or 5 minutes on a question as well. Obviously, that eats up a lot of your time, and sometimes you may not get that right. But in GRE, you have that option of skipping that question right away without giving any thought to it. And you can utilize your time more efficiently on the other questions, basically. Also, GRE's advantage over GMAT would be that it is quant is easier. There is no data sufficiency question type, as I said earlier. A medium question on GMAT is a medium hard question on GRE. So generally the GRE question difficulty level is low compared to GMAT. So that's an advantage that is there in GRE. Calculator is also allowed in GRE. We don't recommend it for all questions because for simple calculations, you should always calculate it manually. That is always faster. Punching in on a calculator is something which is not the best use of your time. But still, for complex calculations, if there are any, we don't generally see a lot of complex calculations in competitive exams anyway. But still, it's a minor benefit that you have that calculator is allowed. Again, GRE is a better test for a native speaker or people who are good at vocab. So if you're a native speaker of the English language, you kind of have, like, I'm not saying that, like, when I say native speaker, what I mean by that is that if you have done your primary schooling and secondary schooling in countries like US, Canada, UK, Australia, or New Zealand. So if you're a native speaker of the language, it is your mother tongue, you have been born and brought up using that language, you think in that language, probably your vocab is going to be anyway better. So it definitely, GRE definitely favors native speakers a lot, because if you're good at vocab, a lot of burden of vocab is taken off your shoulder. In general, in GRE, there are 500 very frequently asked vocabulary words that one has to memorize. And these are high frequency words. If you have to do very well, you might have to memorize another 500 words. So about 1,000 words minimum is what we recommend people to memorize if you want to score really high. For a decent score, when I say decent, I mean like one that gets into the top 20 B schools also, you would require at least 500 words to memorize. So if you think you are better at memorizing words, GRE is going to be a little more advantageous for you. And another benefit of GRE is that it is accepted for all master's programs. So if you're not really sure that which program do you want to apply to, whether you want to go into MS in business analytics or an MS in computer science or an MBA, you can still take the GRE and apply later on. You can even apply to both the programs using your GRE score, but that's an option you can't have through GMAT. GMAT is also getting accepted for some of the master's programs, but the acceptance of GRE for management programs is much wider. In fact, there's hardly any top 20 or top 50 program in the world which does not accept, when I say program, I mean B school program or management program, which does not accept GRE score. Sunaina is saying, where do I find vocab words to memorize? Sunaina, you can look at greviz.com. We have a very good vocab course coming up where you can actually get all the words to memorize as well. So you can check out our courses there. Okay. Now, what is the advantage of GMAT over GRE? So basically, one of the advantages is that, again, this is something which might definitely, if you actually use this point really well, it can actually work in your favor, that it shows clarity of thought towards management programs. Because if you are taking GMAT, schools know that you have decided that you're going to pursue a management degree, because GMAT is primarily a management related test. And come what may, B schools still have more data for GMAT. They have more data points. I'm going to show another slide, which is going to be a little countering this point. But again, just a disclaimer that you should not always go by what adcoms are saying on your face. Many times, as an official member of the B school, they have to go by some of the basically common phrases or that they're using in their email, which are more diplomatic than the thought process that they have to communicate. So in general, these schools still have more data for GMAT, and they also understand that GMAT tests management skills better than GRE for candidates. So GMAT is still something which has more popularity for an MBA program. Also, finance and consulting companies sometimes look at GMAT scores while recruitment process. So basically, if you have a very high GMAT score like 750 or 760 after your recruitment, like after your college is over, it can help you in recruitment as well. Some companies have also started looking at GRE scores. I'm not saying that they don't look at GRE scores, but since finance and consulting are two areas or two functions where a lot of management decisions are required, a lot of logical thinking is required, GMAT scores play a slightly bigger role in giving comfort to those companies that you are more logical as an individual. So Partho, Shakib, can you help him with the links to our courses? Like Shakib will be helping you with that. He'll be providing the links, so you can check out the courses for GRE and GMAT both from our website. But the link website is easy, greviz.com, gmatviz.com. You can just go to them and check them out. Thank you, Shakib, for chiming in. So basically, this is something which is in favor of GMAT. Another benefit of GMAT is you get more time per question. Now, why am I saying so? First of all, in quant, you get 2 minutes per question in GMAT versus 1.75 minutes per question in quant. Now, you might say, okay, Piyush, even though the time is higher for GMAT, you yourself mentioned that the questions are difficult also on GMAT. That is true. But what you need to understand is that in the second section in GRE also, you are gonna get more difficult questions if you do well, right? You're gonna get much more difficult questions in the second section in GRE, not the first section of quant. Second section, you'll get much more difficult questions. Now, if you're getting much more difficult questions and your time is still 1.75 minutes per question, you have to rush through them. You will find it difficult to solve in that limited amount of time. So you get more time on GMAT over GRE for the tougher questions primarily. Same thing for verbal. You get 1.8 minutes per question in verbal, 1.5 minutes in the GRE. Yes. So these are some points which actually favor GMAT over GRE more. Now, what is the final conclusion? I have talked about a lot of different pointers. Now, what are the final conclusions? Let me present a simple thought process. But before that, let me show you another data. So this is a test, survey which was conducted by a test web company in 2020, and we have taken the source from Poets and Quants. So according to that, this survey was done with admission committee officers of some of the top B schools in the US and across the world. And what they found was that they asked the ADCOM that which test score do you prefer between GMAT and GRE? Which test score do you prefer? 86% of them said that we don't have any preference. We give equal weightage to GRE and GMAT. Now, the reason I said that it should not, like, there are certain statements that B school officers have to make officially. This is one such statement in my opinion. This is my personal opinion again. I could be wrong, but schools definitely have more preference for GMAT scores, a little more preference for GMAT scores, even though technically they will end up saying that it's 86%, like they are saying they don't have any preference. Honestly, they do have a bit of inclination towards GMAT just because they have been used to seeing that score and tests your management skills better. That is one thing which is there in favor of GMAT. Okay, so 86% said they don't have any preference. 13% of them said that GMAT is preferred. They prefer GMAT over GRE scores for a candidate. Okay, and 1% of them said that GRE is preferred over GMAT. Now, obviously, why I presented this data to you is because see, 86% is a big number. You might think, okay, 86% is anyway a big number. Most of the B schools are anyway going to accept both the scores. I should move to GRE. But what if the B school that you're applying to, they're taking both scores in GRE and GMAT, they're accepting both, but the ADCOM, which is actually taking the decision, that ADCOM prefers a student with a GMAT score. You will never get to know that. You'll never get to know that. So this is a thing which always gonna be a little tricky, that you don't know whether that ADCOM himself or herself is giving more weightage to GMAT or not. If that is the case and you're applying with GRE, you might have a little bit of a disadvantage over there. So that's something which you have to keep in mind. And that's where I'm gonna have my next slide, that how do you decide basically about this. So Partho, if you want to study, get a study plan for working professionals in shifts, both of our courses, GRE Viz or GMAT Viz, give you a free study plan. So you just go to our website, create an account on our website, and just fill some basic information. It will give you a proper study plan for every single week. And I'm going to talk about that as well as we move forward. But yeah, like just wanted to give you an idea. Now, how do you decide? So simple steps. First, if your target program does not accept GRE, when I say target program, doesn't mean to target B school. Target program, for example, could be MS in Analytics or MS in Finance, whatever degree you are going to pursue. Check the admission criteria first of all. If it doesn't accept GRE, go for GMAT. It doesn't accept GMAT, go for GRE. As simple as that, no brainer. You are undecided about the program. You don't know whether you're going to go for a master's in MS in let's say technology, MS in accounting, or you're going to go for an MBA. You're not really sure still which course you're going to go for. If you're not sure which program you're going to go for GRE. That helps you to keep your options open. If you are applying to a management program, on the other hand, if you're decided about that, you've made your decision that you're not going to apply in any other program, you're only going to look at MBA, you're only going to look at MIM, these type of courses, then prefer GMAT. Why am I saying prefer GMAT? I showed you the data for that earlier. GMAT would have a little bit of preference, and it will also, GMAT preparing for GMAT will also help you grow your analytical reasoning skills and other things as you prepare for it. So if you're ready for it, prefer it. I'm not giving a strong recommendation. I'm saying prefer GMAT over GRE. Now, how do you decide still? Like, let's take sub cases within it. You're applying to a management program, but quant is your strength. You are a very, very logical person. Quant is your strength. Go for GMAT. Don't worry about it. It's gonna be, you are gonna get better results out of it. You are a much more logical person than, let's say, memory-based person. If you have been doing well in science-related subjects which require more logical application of your skills, then probably GMAT is somewhere you're gonna do a better job. For example, I probably would do a better job on GMAT than GRE because I'm a more logical person than a person who can rely on the memory. So if you're a native speaker, on the other hand, or you can actually memorize words easily, go for GRE. You'll actually do a better job in GRE. If quant is a major problem for you, go for GRE. Quant GRE is any day easier for you. So again, 2 cases you go for GMAT, 2 cases you go for GRE. I'm unbiased, up to you to decide. So that brings us to the next part. So we have recently launched GRE Viz. So how GRE Viz can help you? Now, a lot of you might be knowing about GMAT Viz. We have already talked about it. It has created a great achievement in the GMAT space in a very short span of time. Within within 1 year of our, let's say, existence itself, we started delivering 100+ points of average score improvement. In the last 3 years, we have consistently delivered 100+ points average score improvement. And if you look at any of our competitors, they are far, far behind us, basically. And we have achieved that primarily, basically, by helping students create a very different learning pattern. So generally, everyone provides the course, but at GMAT Viz and GRE Viz, we focus on going one step further. We provide a personalized study plan to every student. And when I say personalized study plan, it's a truly personalized study plan, which takes into account your progress, and it takes into account your strengths, your weaknesses, how much time is available with you, and it is completely integrated with the course. It is so methodical and so simple that you will not need to waste any moment of your time, any single second of your time to think about, okay, what do I do today? What do I do tomorrow? If you don't even understand how these tests work, you don't have to waste your time on identifying that. You don't have to think about the structure of the test, what kind of questions are tested. You just have to get started by going to our platform. It's very intuitive, very simple, very unique. You will start from the scratch if it requires you to start from the scratch based on your skills. And if you're a more advanced student, it will actually take you through things much more faster. So it's a very personalized study plan and a course that you get. And based on how you're performing, you will get real-time improvement modules as well. So if you are doing really, if you're not doing really well in any particular topic, you went through it, then also you're not able to do well, then the platform will automatically identify why are you not doing well in that particular topic and give you additional files to cover those weaknesses. And you get a dedicated mentor who can help you in the entire journey of your preparation. Now, what is the specialty of the GRE Viz course? So basically, if you're using GRE Viz, we have recently launched GRE Viz, as I said, and the entire quant module is live. And it is going to be the only resource you need to ace GRE quant, because it has 100+ video lessons, 500+ questions in the course, 500+ additional questions for practice in the Viz quiz. It gives you a personalized course and analytics, and it has dedicated mentorship and weekly free sessions as well. So it is the only resource that you're going to need. And right now we have launched this quant course at a very, very exciting price of as low as $35 for 1 month of subscription. So it's very affordable option, I would say. And since verbal is being launched in phases, this price point is something that you can avail. And with that, you can actually get GRE verbal completely complimentary for the time being. So right now we have added complete RC course with quant. And just to give you an idea, in RC is 50% of GRE verbal. 50% questions are from RC basically. So that is already added. Vocab GRE course is going to go live from June 1st week itself. Then learning modules, June 1st week itself, vocab learning modules are going to go live. And then CRM final version of vocab is going to go live in June last week. So till June last week, basically, if you are taking the quant course of GMAT, GRE Viz right now, you're going to get the GRE with verbal complimentary till June last week, or maybe July first week also we might give it complimentary, and after that the course prices will increase. So it's a really great time to actually invest in the course. And GRE with vocab is going to be very, very different basically. So you have different decks for basically the different high frequency words based on your skills and everything. You can review these decks very easily from one place. You can take quizzes on these decks, on these specific words. And we are going to give decks which will help you remember the synonyms, antonyms, and basically everything in one place in a very, very easy fashion. So it's going to be a very unique experience of learning that is going to be there, basically. And some of the vocab files you have already added, kind of to give you some idea, but more and more are going to come as we move forward. So that's about it from our side. I hope this session has helped you understand the difference between GRE and GMAT, and this test is going to be better for you. If you have any questions for me, please feel free to ask me now. I'm opening it up for a quick Q&A. I'm going to be here for 5 to 10 minutes to answer your questions around these two tests. Please feel free to ask me those questions. I've given the link of both the websites on the screen as well. You can get it from the chat also. And you see my email ID and you see my phone number to connect with me if you want to. So please let me know if you guys have any other questions about basically GRE or GMAT. I hope the session was helpful to you guys. Let me know if you have any questions, guys. I'm more than happy to take them up for you. Are the mock tests computer adaptive? Yes, Rashmi, GMAT with mocks are computer adaptive. Anyways, I'll go through the website. Would like to know more details on GMAT preparation. So please go through our website. You can actually create an account over there and get access to some of our free trial courses. And there you can actually get a lot of information about our courses, right? And Sheetal, I'm going to also give you a video link which will help you to kind of understand how to start your preparation for GMAT. So just give me a minute. I'm just going to get the link and share that with you in a short time. Just give me 1 minute, guys. So here you go, Sheetal. This is the link that you can use to understand how to prepare for GMAT, basically. So what duration study plans are available? Partho, so we have a 2 month, 4 month, and a 6 months option for GMAT. We have a 1 month, 3 month, and a 6 month option for GRE. The courses are all adaptive and self-paced, so you can start anytime, Partho. You don't have to wait for a date to start it. Jeff says, thanks, I will have to go ahead with GMAT now, I guess, because they prefer it more. Yes, there's a bit of preference, which is going to always be there. So yeah, you get it. It's good to know that you are able to make a decision. Okay, that will be great. Need some clarity on timeline from start of GMAT prep to my MBA admission. So yes, definitely it will help you, Sheetal, go through this webinar. It will actually clear a lot of your queries. And if you have other queries, please feel free to reach out to support@gmatquiz.com or support@grewiz.com based on which kind of query you have. Okay, so I don't see any further questions. So it was great having all of you guys in the session today. I hope you were able to identify which tests will work better for you. So all the best from my side, and please feel free to reach out in case you have any further questions on the same.